Tenso no Grimgar episode 5, dude. This episode perfectly illustrates the somber atmosphere left in the wake of Manato's death. From the very onset of the episode, Haruhiro's monologue, as he breaks down the cost of Manato's funeral rites and everything like that. And he's basically like 1 silver. Manato's life comes down to 1 silver, dude. That set the tone beautifully. Ranta's outburst and his utter dismissiveness, his inability to really cope and sympathize with, his nakama and everything like that. Him just lashing out in anger, which I think is a facade that he's putting on with him being unable to deal with a deep sense of helplessness that he truly feels being in this world inherently, and this whole kind of demeanor that he, and this show that he puts on. So him forcing stark reality on them in the most dismissive and rude and just insensitive ways possible. Yume's response to that, her slapping him and just calling him an idiot, you see the pain and the weight in each of their hearts. And I love how the episode, yet again in classic Grimgar fashion, has that slow and intricate pacing, focuses on each individual character's mentality, showcases how it affects the party dynamic and everything like that, and their interactions in a very realistic and well-paced way. The tone shifts were handled beautifully from, it may even feel like a stark shift. For example, when, KIKKAWA comes in and he's drunk as shit and kind of clowning around with the party, really doesn't have anything kind to say about Manato's death except that's the way it goes. Priests need to be protected, and really just breaking down the harsh reality of the situation, and at the same time showcasing the realism of Manato's position as a priest, and really showing them the errors that they were making as a party as a whole, which Haruhiro and Ranta had that dispute before that, which Mogozo, man, that outburst, I was just like, damn, seeing his anger just shedding light on how idiotic the two of them were truly being, and telling them not to be fighting amongst themselves at this time when each of them were in completely different places. And that's what I loved about this episode, that each individual character, dealt with this in a completely different way. It showcased the stages of grief, with Haruhiro kind of not really at first breaking down, not failing to accept it and everything like that. In this episode, kind of trying to shift his mind away from it instantly, and the way the party kind of progressed for that. And Mogozo just kind of keeping them grounded and keeping them together and centered with that outburst, as Ranta was like, I'm leaving, fuck you guys, blah blah blah, what can we do without Manato? And he's blaming Haruhiro just straight up, which Haruhiro was already blaming himself, dude. So to see that and realize how well the emotions were showcased was absolutely beautiful for me. But KIKKAWA scene, and with the addition of the new sexy goddess Mary, dude, you don't understand. From the very beginning, people have been saying, best girl has yet to appear. Best girl has yet to appear. And I knew about Mary just because of the whole list and character list and everything like that. And I saw an illustration of her, and I was like, yo, from the light novel, I was like, yo, fucking goddess. And this design did not disappoint. It's slightly not as beautiful and majestic as, the light novel illustration. But nonetheless, Mary is a kudere sexy goddess, well on the way to becoming my best girl from this series. Although Yume is my shit. We're going to talk about that scene at the end in a second. But just how cold she was about the whole thing, how straightforward. She wasn't taking any Aranta shit, and she was being calculating and real with them in terms of the party dynamic and their job and how it's supposed to be enacted, really kind of showcasing that MMO perspective and everything like that. He's telling them how priests are generally supposed to operate, not healing any of the scratches like Manato used to do and everything like that, which are the same, points and functions Manato as a leader that ended up getting him killed, and that Haruhiro blamed himself for and everything like that. So Meredith's character, fucking amazing. I just from the introduction and the whole back and forth with Ranta, because I know Ranta's not gonna get Yume. It's already locked up. Haruhiro X Yume. It's OTP. It's done. I don't care what anybody wants to say, and don't spoil me if you're a light novel reader and you know something to the contrary. But that's what I 100% believe. Right? That's what I 100% believe. But that aside, Mary may very well be my at the very least sexy goddess, but she may very well be my best girl of this series, and I can't wait to dive more into her character. Aside from that, I want to go back to the KIKKAWA scene for a second, because that scene really may feel like the tone just shifts so suddenly from the atmosphere that was just taking place. And it kind of lightens the mood, and that's what KIKKAWA was kind of doing in that moment wholeheartedly. And I actually really like that. The fact, for one, he never really was close with Manato, so it would be unrealistic for him to kind of cater to their despair and everything like that. Even though that would have been the kind thing to do, he forces the stark reality on them. And to see them kind of try and grow from that, even though it upsets the party dynamic even further with Ranta bringing Mary in and everything like that, them going to the pub every night, without them, and leaving, Shihoru and Yume back, and seeing them kind of isolated like that, and how much we find out that it was weighing on them. See Shihoru alone in the bath and everything like that. But the one scene, dude, and you knew it coming, and that's what I really have to talk about, and how powerful it was the Haruhiro x Yume scene, dude. It was beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Aside from the animation quality, which the animation quality throughout this episode was definitely lacking. I mean, the thing about it is that even the illustration quality and the art was lacking compared to the first 4 episodes for my eye. Like, even while they really were trying to draw out emotion in that scene and everything like that with the character models, Haruhiro's tears and the movements and their embrace, and it did work to a certain extent, I think it could have been cleaner and more refined. It was not at the level established in the first 4 episodes. But that aside, the voice acting in that scene was powerful, as Yume basically points out that Haruhiro has been taking this weight upon himself when it's a party. They were all together. Manato wasn't the only one. We can no longer keep relying on him, etc., and showcasing how she and Shihoru felt this whole time, kind of being isolated and whatnot. And that scene is done in the rain and whatnot, solidifying OTP, seeing Haruhiro break down in her arms as he realizes, the significance of Manato's final words to him and everything like that. And it's basically what I said last week. It's a combination of two things. One, Manato apologizing for leaving everything in Haruhiro's hands and everything like that, but at the same time not really designating a role for him when he was, giving lines for the party out and everything like that, simply because Manato wanted to maintain his distance from Haruhiro. As close as he had gotten with him, there was this darkness that lurked inside Manato in terms of he always felt there was something off, something distant. And back when I was crafting those theories about the other ways things could have gone, whereas now I know Manato was a genuine individual and everything like that, but just his statements about who he felt he used to be, that's what he was kind of apologizing for, because I feel as though that perspective he was actually harboring towards the rest of the party deep down at the whole time, even though he didn't want to. So to see that in that scene, that breakdown, then when Shihoru spots this dude, the whole misunderstanding, I was dumb, because I was looking at it too when she just had her fucking head in his lap, and I was like, anybody that comes in on this, dude, it's looking at this. It was all fine with me, because I was in my mind just like, yo, the OTP, it's establishing itself right here. It's beautiful. But as soon as Shihoru came in, I died laughing, especially how kawaii it was that Yume didn't even realize what the whole misunderstanding was in the first place, and why they were both, Shihoru and Haruhiro were so flustered until the end, and she just starts blushing and screams, and I'm just like, yo, this is fucking hilarious. I love Yume. I love Shihoru too, don't get me wrong, and I actually really do feel from her, especially since she's so withdrawn from everyone, and the only one she really has is Yume, and I can't wait to see her character grow and potentially bond with more of the party, even right now, her being the most affected by Manato's death aside from Haruhiro. So I love her, don't get me wrong, but right now it's between Yume and Mary for best girl for me for this series. It's just done. So that aside, that the one other scene that I forgot to talk about, dude, Renji, my boy Renji appears clad in the armor. You hear everybody in the pub, whispering his name, showcasing how far he's come it's been like a month since they've been there, and the man is top tier in this town, and as far as the kind of volunteer soldiers go. So I'm just like, yo, Renji is a boss, and he comes in, and I love how it kind of showcases his persona and how his character, and how much he actually genuinely respected each of these individuals and hasn't forgotten that they all started off at the same place, offering this gold coin for Manato's death, which on the one hand, I don't know how to fully take it. You know, on the one hand, you could really see it as him just trying to be kind, trying to reach out and pay his respects. On the other hand, you could see it as somewhat cocky and arrogant and assuming that this is enough to, you know, fill the void that Manato's life, you know, that this money can fill the void that Manato left behind. And that's why I think Haruhiro gave it back to him, first of all, because Manato would not want them to make use of that money that they got off of his head. It's not necessary after all they've worked for, you know, after how far they've come. And Haruhiro and his pride and his love for his friend that's fallen and for his party and the respect that he has for them, he couldn't take that. So to see that, and I guarantee you, Renji has a newfound respect for Haruhiro after seeing him hand him back the coin. So I can't wait to see that dynamic played up in the future as well. But aside from that, I forgot to mention more about KIKKAWA. The man just seems utterly ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure he goes in, but just the fact that you couldn't even remember their names, he's just getting drunk as shit. I mean, it was very nice to kind of bring the somber tone down and bring the tension down to have that scene, and it was very realistic as well. But I don't know how to feel about him 100% yet. But I really like this episode overall. In classic Grimgar fashion, it really did focus on the details I wanted to see coming off of Manato's death. And it's going to be interesting to see how we move forward from here. So that's pretty much it. Let me know your thoughts, and I'm out. Peace.